Welcome, everybody. I'm going to start a little YouTube thing for the duration of 2021, maybe a little bit farther, called What Makes This Image Great? And we're talking about commercial photography, editorial photography, uh, the kind of work that appears in magazines, advertisements, etc. Lots has been lots has been said about art photographers. You can find lots of critiques of Ansel Adams and Edward Weston and Paul Caponegro and those folks out there. But we're going to be talking about advertising photography. That's where my world is. That's where I work with photographers in that genre. So that's what we're going to focus on. So we're starting today with a photographer that means a great deal to me because when I first saw his work, I was literally blown away, and it really had me changing the way I did still life work. His name is Gary Perweiler. The book he put out is The Secrets to Studio Still Life Photography by Gary Perweiler. It's a classic book. You must have a copy of it. I have three, one on my shelf, one still shrink wrapped in a box, safe box, and one out in my studio. It's all dog-eared because it's the original one I bought way back in 19, it's a long time ago. You don't need to know the realities of it. Gary's work is very design oriented, very much a part of the world of lighting because Gary's work, this is predates Photoshop, by the way. When you see the work, you'll wonder how he did it. He did it with precision. And I'm a big believer in being deliberate, being precise in photography. It's all about deliberate. Gary went to New York after going to school, I believe, in Philadelphia, and got a job as an assistant to a fashion photographer. And the fashion photographer was being asked to do still life, and the fashion photographer sucked at it. So Gary started doing the still life. He was totally unprepared to do the still life. Didn't teach him anything about that in university. Nice to see some stuff hasn't changed. But he jumped in and bringing his design sense to the work, to the graphics of it, ended up creating just a massive following of art directors and clients all over the world. He spent 3 years as an assistant, moved out on his own in 1972, and was smashing success. So, without any further ado, let's jump into version one or edition one, season one. I don't know. Number one, photographers, what makes this image great. Perweiler was known for obsessively perfect imagery. This is not Photoshop. This is photography from an 8x10 camera, generally with one light in a very small studio on a very small set. What makes this picture just rock for me is the precision of everything. And I want to go through it because I think it's so beautifully staged that there's nothing left to chance, and everything in here just leads to a perfect photograph. Let's start right at the top of the picture, right up here, where the cup intersects and crosses over the black line. No tangent there. The black line isn't showing. By moving the cup up and letting it go over the black line, we now have dimension to the cup. Do you see that? By having it go over that line, we have dimension. We now have a lemon and a reflection from the light source in the tea. The same shape of the lemon. The little piece of mint comes over. The edge of the sharp point of this mint leaf right here stays on the lemon. The edge crosses out, giving dimension on both sides of this. This one comes right out into the negative space over the saucer. This is so perfectly rendered. Look at the beautiful highlight in that lemon there, and on the leaves. That's really, really great. Just beautiful. Notice now we get to the second. We've got the intersecting horizontal line of the tile behind it. So that goes right through the center of the saucer. It's amazing how beautiful every single point of this image is created. Notice in the T, got the little line of light right around the edge of the T. It's so important to have that whenever you're shooting tea or beverage. You want to have a bubble in the coffee or a bubble in the tea. You want to have a highlight on the top. Otherwise, it could be Jello. Otherwise, it could be, a colored paper. This gives it texture. We know it's glossy. We know it's liquid when you have this little thing here. But look how beautifully it reflects that lemon, or repeats the shape of the lemon. We come down to the bottom. We've got the saucer sitting in the white bowl, and right at the bottom of the saucer on both sides, you have a little highlight from the bowl reflecting back into the cup. Really amazing. Look at the handle on the cup. The handle comes out. It goes to shade because in this particular shot, Perweiler's not using a fill card. There's no fill to the front. He's letting everything to the front just simply go dark. And that is set up where? Well, it's set up all the way up here. White against black. White against black, against white against black. The shadow for the cup falls right in line, right dead square in the radius of the little black line on the saucer. It's just astounding. Notice the bubbles, by the way, in the milk. If there's no bubbles in the milk, it could be paste. It could be white, anything. The bubbles tell us it's milk. We don't even have to ask. The distance from here to here and here to here is pretty close to the same. He's let the bowl or the little milk thing come away from the shadow in the background on the left side. He's intersected it with the sugar cube on the right side. And again, this gives balance all the way across. The vertical tile crack, or whatever you would call it, the gap in the tile, the vertical one is hidden by the perfect shape of the napkin here. And then once again, we have the spoon with half the spoon picking up the reflection of the light source, of the big light source, and the other part of the spoon picking up the black from in front. So we basically have this shape inverted. Black at the top, white at the bottom, white at the top, black at the bottom. The shape you see reflected in the tiles is the light source. These are shiny tiles. They're reflecting the light source, and that's what you see. There's no vignetting on this image. There's no Photoshop sliding on this image. There's no nothing. This is a 8x10 transparency just as it came out of the camera. Pretty amazing. What makes this shot great? Everything. Let's check out another one from Gary Perweiler. A sink stopper. Now, one of the things, if you know my work at all, one of the things I always tell photographers is you got to be very, very careful when you're working, when you're building your book, because some things are worth access. But if your brother-in-law wants you to do pictures of sink stoppers for his brochure, that's a job, and you're going to get paid for it. Well, here's a picture of a sink stopper that's absolutely drop dead gorgeous. And again, Perweiler's using contrast. The chrome reflecting the light source, which is a softbox, the chrome reflecting the bounce card with a white card down below. Look at the perfect placement of water beads here. Look at the white and black at the top, white at the top, black on the bottom, white on the inside, black on the outside. We've got this absolutely stunning, perfect shape right there of shapes. We have the round, I should start here. We have the round, we have the round, and we have the round, and we have the round. Even these are round. All of the shapes in this thing are round, with the exception of the elongated handle. Pretty cool. Masterfully done. So deliberate, so carefully created. When you're working on your still lifes, keep this stuff in mind. This one is one that I kind of chuckle at because my wife and I bought this as a poster way back when we first got married, and this picture hung in our den for a couple of decades, a Gary Perweiler poster. Notice the yellow of the handle of the fork and the yellow of the egg yolk, and then a little bit of reflection around it. And look at the shapes. We've got this sort of oblong shape. Look at the shape inside here. Perfectly designed stuff. Again, this is one light source. Where is it? It's right there. You can see it right in the top of the egg. One light source, one great big light source at the top. No fill, so there's no any added angles of light or anything. It's just everything is revealed by the light. So the light is revealing this black food holder, for lack of a better term. It's reflected on the handle. We get the black here on the bottom. We get the chrome handle again. All of this is that giant softbox right above. We see it in the eggs, and the eggs themselves just line up. This is what Gary was so good at. The little rect egg over here, which is this egg, and the gap right in the middle. There's 7 eggs wide here, but the one in the middle is gone because the one in the middle stayed in the middle and moved down, so that the middle fork down here on the middle handle can all be pointing towards it. Do you see this? Absolute deliberate excellence. So check out the description below for Gary Perweiler's book and a link to a great story in the New York Times about his son putting together a retrospective of some of Gary's ad work as fine art. And I'll see you next time on What Makes This Photo Great. Thanks. If you like what I'm doing, hit the subscribe button. I appreciate it. The more people who subscribe, the more excited I get to do this, and I'm kind of excited about this. So watch next Monday for the next episode. Thanks, guys. Bye.